just think like 16 or even 18 or even 20 is just a little bit too young to be on the road. Not just that, it would just make the road safer, I reckon, you know, for everyone else, and less cars on the road as well. You know, we just got to be a bit more sensible about. I mean, I don't know, but I think you're allowed to be 80 years old, you know, and still drive the car.
Well, I think once you get to a certain age, I can't remember what age it is. I think it's
80.
I think it's well, I think it's once you get to a certain age, though, you have to take a test every year. If you see what I mean. And I can't remember what age it is. I think it might be like 65 or 67, or I can't remember how old it is exactly. But they have got a stipulation in place where once you get to that age, every year after that you're driving, you have to take a test every year.
Yeah. I think they're getting a little bit stricter about it.
They are, because they're realising.
You know, well, it is sensible, you know.
Well, mate, I used to work in a place, right? With elderly people, and it was a residential home, so a lot of them were still independent. Yeah. But this guy had really bad dementia, and he could barely see. And we all knew this for a fact, because he was always saying that he couldn't read this or see this or whatever, couldn't, you know. And this guy was still driving for like 2 years, on and off. He didn't go out that often in the car, but we couldn't stop him. If you see what I mean, there was nothing in place to say that we could stop him. If you see what I mean, because they hadn't got around to assessing him.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, to see whether or not he was still viable to still be driving his car. They eventually did, thankfully, if you see what I mean, because obviously he was a bit of a safety hazard to himself and other people, and you know, otherwise, you know. But yeah, that took 2 years, if you see what I mean. Yeah, that took 2 years of, you know.
I just think it's bad. Okay, I think it's a crazy world. Sometimes I wish this. I feel like I would have had a much better life if the motor engine wasn't invented. It would have been a lot more quieter, and nobody would have known anything about it. You know what I mean? You don't miss what you don't know in a kind of way. Do you know what I mean? In a funny way, you know. But I know that it's kind of made this world
what it is today.
Well, you know, like it has made, you know, like so we're living like kings and queens in a funny way, you know, and we kind of like, we can go to London within an hour. They could do that a long time ago.
No.
300 years ago, right? They'd say, shall we go to London? And say, no, it's too far away. Take us all day.
Take us, well, a few days probably.
Well, you know, by horse.
By horse.
By horse and cart, you know, whatever. You know, but today, yeah, let's go. You know, because we've got a car, you know, or I can't explain it, but we are, you know, all this traffic's killing nature big time. Told you. You know, I can see it. You know, and it's in 50 years' time, maybe nature's going to completely disappear. You know, all the hedgehogs, everything gone. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But it's not my worry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to be here. I'm just thinking about the new generation.
The next generation, the future.
This new generation, yeah. You think about it, all this mess that we've made year after year. You know, I mean, you think about it, all the DVDs that were made.
Yeah.
Okay, there are some about most of them on the ground now in the bin or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
Or gone and recycled.
I get what you mean. All the plastic and all the
toys that children get. You know, even the toys that I used to get when I was little. Do you know what I mean? All the Airfix models or whatever. You know, they're all buried now, all gone. Do you know what I mean? It's all. We live in a sort of throwaway society.
We do, yeah.
Every year that goes by, the rubbish that we throw away is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal, yeah.
It's scary in a funny way, but it's not my worry or anyone else's worry this age. You know what I mean? We're making it a dump for our children.
Yeah.
You with me? It's they've got to pick it up in the future or sometime. Whatever we whatever mess we make today, that generation here. I've got to somehow sort out in the future. They're probably not going to be worried about it themselves, do you know what I mean? And leave it to their children. And that's what's happening generation after generation. Nobody cares in a kind of way, you know. I think there's, you know, there are some people that care today, and I think there's always been some people that cared throughout history. But what can we do, you know, because we can't change the way we are in a funny way, you know. We've invented the motor. We've invented electric. that's it. You know, this is the world we got. You know, we can't change it, can we?
Yeah.
You know, we can't say, oh, maybe we should have invented the motor engine. We would have had a better world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I can't say that. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But can we change? You know,
can we somehow improve?
To me, if I went back in time, okay, I would have built some roads, okay, but not put them through high streets to disturb people. Do you know what I mean? I would have planned out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And I would, like I said, I wouldn't have let people allowed to drive until they're a bit more mature, until they're old enough, about 25, I'd say. Do you know what I mean? That's a reasonable age. Do you know what I mean? You know, and we'd accept that. We'd all say that's good.
Well, I was gonna say, like you said earlier, like what if that's all you've ever known, then nothing else, like no, if you see what I mean, that would be normal to you.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean, if that was stipulated from the beginning, if all of us had grown up being taught, from a young age that in order to drive you have to be raked till you're 25, we'd know nothing different. If you see what I mean, so.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, like if I was Prime Minister of this country, or the traffic minister, and I said, okay, 16-year-olds allowed to pass their test, okay, I'd feel guilty. I'd have a guilty conscience. Honestly, I wouldn't be asleep, you know, but I'm not the government, you know, or whatever. You know, I'm not making the rules here. You know, I'd feel really guilty that I've killed thousands of 16-year-olds by saying that, do you know what I mean, all over the country, you know, or put a lot of other people in risk, you know, because at the end of the day, putting 16-year-olds, you know, they're basically just, you know, being born.
Yeah.
You know, and they're on the road, for goodness sake, on dangerous roads, which make it more dangerous, you know, increasingly dangerous by putting young people on the road in a funny way, you know, or letting it allowed to be.
Yeah.
You know, in the result of allowing lots of 16-year-olds or 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds on the road, in the result, lots of more people die because of it. You know, that's my philosophy or understanding or mathematics about it, you know. You know, or, you know, I'm a bit of a puzzle solver, and it kind of puzzles me why things are like they are today, you know. Why it's like roads are very, very dangerous to every living thing, but there's, you know, it's like everyone's allowed to do it. Or, you know, even if you're 15, maybe you can do it, or 14. You know, I mean, even the pavements are getting dangerous these days because of the mobile road, you know, these mobile cars.
Oh yeah,
Well, you know,
the mobility scooters and shit.
Yeah, it's a kind of new thing, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I know we've had wheelchairs for many years on the road, but they're becoming electrical.
Yes.
And you've got scooters are going around as well, you know, and
it's
getting a little bit more dangerous on the
pavements. You got to be careful walking on the pavements and shit now. It's true.
Well, you know, I must admit, a couple of months ago, I nearly got knocked over by a mobile on the pavement. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was only going back because I forgot to put some rubbish in the bin, you know, and I didn't realise there's a bloody car behind me, you know, on the pavement, going quite fast. Do you know what I mean? Because they're quite powerful machines, you know. And again, you know, we're making the pavements dangerous now. You know, these things should go on the road, not on the pavement.
Yeah.
You know? They shouldn't endanger children, you know, because it nearly killed me, you know.
Well, I was going to say, the whole reason the pavements were created are for pedestrian safety, isn't it, at the end of the day? Let's be honest.
Well, I was lucky.
A place for the public to walk safely away from harm's danger with the cars and the bikes and everything else. So
I was really lucky that guy didn't hit me that time. Do you know what I mean? Because I reckon I would have broken my leg or something. I would have needed one of those cars.
Well, there's a lady too as well. Sometimes when I'm taking my kids to school, there is a lady that also takes her kids to school on her mobility scooter every morning. But the thing is that she will never wait. There's a particular place, where there's only room for like one person at a time, if you see what I mean. Especially like if it's really muddy and wet, if you see what I mean. You want to stay on the path. You have to let the person on that, you have to let the people on this side go ahead and whatever. But this lady, she never waits for anyone. So you might be already halfway down the path, if you see what I mean. About to finish, walking along, so you know, for you to let her go by. And she will not even wait. She will try to, if you see what I mean, almost bloody run you over. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Literally would almost like run you over. If you see what I mean, I'm just like, she could have waited another 5 seconds and I would have been gone out of her way. She could have kept going and she would have had the whole path to herself, if you see what I mean. But she wasn't on the path when I started walking going along, if you see what I mean. You know, she would come around the corner. So, but yeah, she's another one. She does it all the time as well. She won't wait. She assumes every single time that she's got right of way. Yeah. It's funny.
I mean, we're all a little bit different, aren't we? Like we've always said, you know, like we've all got a bit of a different path, different mum, a little bit, you know. I mean, I've got the same mum as my brother, but you know, generally we're all a little bit different, you know. And as I say, we all got a little bit different interest, a little bit, I think, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm into pigeons, and my brother's into football a bit more than whatever. He laughs at me because I love pigeons.
Yeah.
I laugh at him because he loves football.
Yeah.
You know, and so on. You know, we're kind of like laughing at each other in a kind of way, but what interests us, isn't it? You know, and that's that. You know.
It's as simple as that.
I'm pleased that, you know, I mean, when I was little, I used to sort of like study insects a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of understand the insect world, I think.
Yeah.
More than most people do.
Yeah.
And like say, ants are not really much different to humans, apart from they got more legs. They've not really invented computers or anything, or
not technologically advanced anyway.
No, they haven't gone. You know, they're not putting up big electric pylons up or anything. Or they haven't discovered electricity yet, I don't think. You know, might have done. But like I say, humans have evolved in a huge way, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? I feel like everyone today, even, you know, because we're all living in the world, same world today. We're all consciously sort of living in the modern world.
Yeah.
You know, with computers, internet, and some people some people are not into internet at all. You know, they won't touch it, or they've not even seen it yet, you know.
But if you think about it, right, this generation wants, there's right now, right, people who are in their 60s plus that don't really use the internet, don't really use a computer, don't really use social media and stuff. Within the next 50 years, everyone that is on Earth and alive will know what the internet is and will probably be using the internet. Pretty much every single person.
Yeah, not necessarily. I wouldn't say everyone.
Not every single person, obviously, because of your country where you live, etc., your circumstances, financial things, otherwise, whatever. But generally speaking,
you think like from the day you're born, and then you reach, say, age 12. You know, normally by the age of 12, you're going to know about the computer, aren't you? Today.
Yeah.
You know, or 16.
Younger than that.
Yeah.
My son. My son been doing classes at school, at primary school. Yeah. Every week. You know what I mean? To do with technology. And they use iPads and different tablets and computers and all sorts. I even said to you before, like, I honestly believe that he might be more technologically savvy with a computer than I am. Sometimes he shows me, you even show me things like little shortcuts and little ways to do things and key commands and.
He's teaching you now.
Yeah, honestly. Because I wasn't getting taught that at that age, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I found it with my children, you know.
It wasn't towards the end of my secondary school teachings that I started learning a little bit about technology and that kind of thing. But even then it wasn't that often, if you see what I mean. I remember even back then too, I had a few classes that were cancelled and stuff like that because the teacher wasn't there. And so I didn't learn a huge amount, if you see what I mean, in terms of like technology when I was like at school, if you see what I mean. So it's just really amazing to me today that kids, like, they're going to be learning all about it when they're in school at a young age, and when they leave school they're going to be really on it, if you see what I mean. They'll be knowledgeable about the computer, its programs, everything, all the apps, everything, if you see what I mean, coding. My son's been learning about coding at school, if you see what I mean. So it's very interesting.
I mean, how old is your son now?
Well, he's 10 and he'll be 11 in a couple of months.
Yeah.
He'll be 11 in a couple of
months. I mean, if I wouldn't be. There's no way I did a podcast with him. Okay, sitting here, because he's not got that.
No.
You know, you're more sophisticated than him.
Of course,
more experienced than him. You know.
And his life, obviously, growing up, like how his life has been thus far and will continue to be, is completely different to my life. If you see what I mean, growing up, because and obviously because we're all different. If you see what I mean, my circumstances and a lot of things that I've had to go through and experience in my life in a short space of time, and then come out of that and come into a completely different situation, circumstances, and then reinvent myself and evolve and change and become a different person, and etc. He's not going to have to really go through any much of that, if you see what I mean. He's thankfully he's got stability. He's financially well looked after. He doesn't want for anything. Everything he wants and kind of needs, he has. Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, not all children got good mothers and fathers, have they? Do you know what I mean?
True.
You know?
Yeah. True.
I think he's quite lucky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, same for my daughter. Like, I've always said to my wife, like, as long as I'm alive, like, our kids, everyone, like, as long as I'm alive, everyone will always be looked after. If you see what I mean? Like, I'll always do my best to make sure everyone's always looked after. So that people don't want for anything, and of course we've all got needs too, but wants come first, and then once you've taken care of the wants, then needs come on top. If you see what I mean.
I mean, as I've said many times, you know, I've got 3 children,
yeah.
So I'm sort of like, I kind of understand what children are all about, you know.
Yeah.
Some people you talk to not experienced, not had children themselves or whatever, you know, so they're not conscious of it all.
Yeah.
Or experienced that at all.
Mm.
You know, but I know, like when I had my children, you know, they become sort of like having an extra leg in a funny way.
Oh, yeah.
They become part of your conscience.
Yeah.
Don't they? You know, and that's that. You know, I mean, I said that, you know, I've had trouble seeing my children, but I saw my daughter not long ago. Do you know what I mean? Just before Christmas and that.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing her again.
Yeah.
But I felt like
which is beautiful.
Well, it is, but even when, you know, I've not seen her for a long time, you know, years, I was always conscious of her almost every day, even though she wasn't there, if you see what I mean. And I don't think she felt so strong.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously I was there when she was born, and she can't remember that, you see.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, you know. But she meant so much to me. Do you know what I mean? All my children do, all 3 of them. And they become really part of your conscience big time, somehow. You know, it's just like if they scream out, you know, you're sort of there and you're panicking with them. If you kind of, you know, they just become part of you, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
well, any good parent really, any parent out there really loves their kids. Good parents out there, everyone kind of like you have your children's best interest at heart in every regard, and that not only is in regards
not
to
all parents do that.
Not all, but I'm just saying if you're a good parent, if you are a good parent and you really love your kids, if you see what I mean, then you generally always got your children's best interest at heart. You only want the best for them. You want them to be well looked after, well provided for, have a stable and safe environment to grow up in, and also an environment where they feel like they can confide in their parents. And if you see what I mean,
it depends what father or mother you got. You know, like I feel like it's like my father. Was he a good father or wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of good things about my dad. Do you know what I mean? He was a kind man, but he didn't really do much for me. Do you know what I mean? And he always drinking all the time. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. But sometimes he must have sort of like, you know, when I did meet up with him, he took me out for a drink and things, and he brought me a drink and then brought me another drink. And he's thinking he's doing a good thing for me in a kind of way. You know, he's thinking he's doing the best thing for me. Sort of taking me out for a drink and giving me a good time, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like turning me into an alcoholic before I'm 16. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not being a very good father, even though he kind of consciously thinks he is being a good father. You know? Yeah. It's doing the wrong thing, isn't it? Really, sort of drinking, spending a lot of money on sort of like drinking a bit, you know, and forgetting kind of about your own responsibilities. You know, your children.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know.
Neglecting your responsibilities.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, I forgive my dad. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's what I've got to do. You know. And, you know, I love my dad, and I can't forgive him because that's what things were like back then. You know.
In his time,
most men went out for
Yeah.
his age.
That was a common.
It was like if you didn't go out, you'd feel bad, you know, or your friends would take the mickey out of you, or whatever, or you wouldn't make any friends.
It was a bit
just
unnatural.
Again, it's just the way things are or is, you know. Just like I said, you know, like we've got cars here today. You know, somebody invented the motor, and there's no taking it back now.
Yeah.
You know, we invented it, and lots of people loved it, and here it is today everywhere. You know, lots of people love it today. I think, you know, they wouldn't live without their car.
No, if you ask people today if they would trade their car and give it all up, they wouldn't.
No, I mean some people, even if you know someone dents their car, a small dent.
Oh yeah, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. Yeah.
They're on the floor.
It's a tragedy, isn't it? It's the end of the world. Yeah.
They're really conscious about their.
Yeah. It's like a prized possession, isn't it? Yeah.
Where, you know, I don't like being, you know, like I don't like loving cars, or I never fallen in love with anything like that.
Well, I always say to, like, I'm big on that too. I always say to people, like, you should never fall in love with anything material. No. Material possessions or worth are really worthless. Yes, it's nice to acquire nice things. It's nice to have a nice house, a nice car, nice clothes, different things. If you can afford it, it is nice, if you see what I mean.
I think it's nice not to have it.
At the end of the day, it doesn't make or break you, if you see what I mean. You can still be a working class person, have a decent home, and still have a decent home and a decent household with you and your wife and your kids, and you know, you get by and everyone's looked after, and you know, you might not be the wealthiest person or richest couple or people in the world, but you have a nice stable household and a nice home, and everyone's happy, if you see what I mean. So you know, that's the main thing. You know, as long as you've got, you know, good people around you and people that you love and got your best interests at heart, and the same, you know, and you got the same for them. I think that's the best kind of, you know, environment really. You know, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, as long as you've got happy, healthy relationships with people, you know, with your wife and kids and all your friends, and you know, as long as you're able to enjoy your life and you know you've got the essentials in life, then that's all that really matters. You know. You can't really ask for a lot more than that. You know, anything else, like we always say, anything else on top of that is a blessing. You know, so
we're lucky to have a conscience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Lucky to have a future.
And the thing is though, is that there are. I've spoken about this before. I remember at one point in my life where I felt, because of the environment that I was growing up in and things that I'd seen and experienced, I started to feel like I was losing my conscience. And this is when I was really young too. Like, I remember being like 15, 16, thinking to myself, like, I can't afford to have a conscience. Because I used to feel that if I had a conscience for someone, someone might not have a conscience for me. You get what I'm saying? So it was that kind of environment that I kind of grew up in, because like you might try to like end some kind of like situation, like try to end it in a peaceful way. Like, say you get in a confrontation or some kind of argument with someone, or something goes left, and you know something happens, whatever, and you try to de-escalate it and try to end it in a peaceful way. In the kind of environment that I grew up in, a lot of times things didn't end peacefully. People will get worked up very, very quickly, and before you knew it, someone was trying to actually physically hurt someone else, if you see what I mean. So I used to think to myself, I remember being young and realising, like, this is the type of environment where it's kind of like dog eat dog kind of thing. Like, you know, if you show weakness, or if you just because you might show weakness, or you might show you might want to be peaceful or whatever, doesn't mean that everyone else would agree to that. They might still bloody try to beat you up, if you see what I mean. So but I'm glad that obviously I haven't been in that type of environment for a long time, if you see what I mean. I haven't had to live like that, if you see what I mean. I haven't had to have a mindset of that survival mentality, you know. So
I mean, being conscious of somebody else is basically being in love with someone else, really, isn't it? In a kind of way, you know. It's like, get more conscious of who you know.
Well, I think the more in tune you become with yourself, if you see what I mean, the more conscious you become, And also too, the more educated you become, the more knowledgeable you become, and the more you become in tune with yourself, and you really educate yourself, and you really get to understand yourself and who you are, and what makes you tick, and what makes you happy, and what makes you drive, and what you're passionate about, and everything else, if you see what I mean. Everything that is, you know, what makes you as a person, you know, what really inspires you, what motivates you on a daily basis to get up and want to continue living your life and enjoying, you know, all these things, if you see what I mean. You know, that's what makes you up as a person, you know.
Being a conscious is also your intelligence, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
In a way, and,
Yeah.
you know, as you're sort of awake during the day, doing whatever.
Yeah.
Being conscious, basically, aren't you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Making yourself a drink, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll say, you know, I think it's really, really important to sort of like control your conscience in a kind of way, you know, like as we said, your thoughts and things like that. I mean, that's what I try to do, really, sort of, you know. I think it's just basically important to keep conscience.
Yeah.
Keep away from all the rubbish out there, because otherwise you're going to kind of like poison your own conscience, basically, I feel. Is that right?
Yeah.
And try to sort of control your own life.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
your own conscience every day.
Trying
to do the right thing as well, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's always a choice, isn't there?
There is.
We've always got a choice.
Yeah.
We can either do it or give up, or do you know what I mean? You know, it's always up to you.
You got to think for yourself.
I mean, you know, really, if I wanted to, I could go out and kill someone right now. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to do that. Do you know what I mean? You know, as I say, we've all got a choice.
We've all got choices in life. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I did do something stupid like that, you know, I'd feel guilty about it for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? Conscience about it every moment of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just know that that's wrong thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Well, some people have actually done it accidentally, and then ended up getting imprisoned or otherwise, and ended up taking their own life because they just couldn't live with the fact that they actually, you know, even though it was accidental, they murdered someone else. They weren't able to live with that fact, if you see what I mean.
No, I mean, it's like, for instance, you know, I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was sort of walking down the high street just about a year ago, and this old lady was walking across the Pelican Crossing, and a lorry turned round and hit her. And then, you know, like the police come, and they were asking him, you know, sort of to walk in a straight line. And
do the drink.
Do the drink test and all this, do you know what I mean? You know, treating him like a criminal. Because that's what he was, you know, all of a sudden he was a murderer.
Yeah.
You know, the police were treating him like, you know, what happened there, you know, how did he make that mistake?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I expect I don't know what happened to that guy, do you know what I mean? You know, but I wouldn't feel so good about my life.
Yeah, of course,
I just killed an old lady, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just, back of his tyre hit the Zimmer frame, you know, and she was crossing the road. And I think the man was green, you know, and he still hit her.
Yeah.
And it's one of these lorries that says turn left, turn left, turn right. You know, it's got all these warning signs, but it still hit her.
Yeah.
You know, so what's the point of all those city warning signs or whatever, you know? And I was just thinking, this can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, it caught her Zimmer frame, you know, and it's a busy junction.
Yeah.